Yo, yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Dr. DeLon Canterbury coming at you live with Geriatrics and, of course, our Deprescribing Accelerator. Welcome back to another episode of the Red Pill versus the Blue Pill. I am the Deprescribing Pharmacist, right? Your Morpheus of our Red Pill versus Blue Pill. So what is going on, world? Hope y'all are doing well. And yeah, today is our usual weekly check-in where we discuss how you, yes, you listening in now as a clinician, caregiver, provider, family member, all of the above, you have a role to play when it comes to medication safety and medication deprescribing. So I'm glad you are taking the time to tune in and see what's good. Today we're talking about the places you will go, right? Not Dr. Seuss per se, but I'm hoping y'all get the reference. But yeah, we're sharing more on where this journey of deprescribing has shifted our health system, has taken me, has taken our deprescribing advocates and alumni, has advocated for our communities who don't generally have access to a geriatric pharmacist or medication expert who can lead this conversation, right? So yeah, we got to talk about what the end destination is, right? Like, where is this going to go in our profession, in Medicare reimbursement, right? In practice, in clinic? Like, we got to make deprescribing the standard of care. And that's my mission, is to have this world of deprescribing care facilities that have this Dr. Canterbury seal of approval for continuous deprescribing implementation. That's my vision. And I know that there are some facilities that are like that. They strictly say, yo, we're not doing any antipsychotics for dementia. We're not doing any meds. We're essentially focusing on some holistic healing and empowering people to know how to fight for that. So that is the world I envision. That is where I see pharmacists going. I see them serving as contractual vendors for these retirement living communities. And I don't mean just an LTC pharmacist doing audits. I literally mean a community-facing pharmacist who's helping retirees in these centers navigate that med list. So anyway, y'all know what I'm going to say. But for those who haven't heard, again, I'm Dr. DeLon Canterbury, geriatric pharmacist, all about empowering more of our care providers, our future geriatric clinicians, our PAs, our NPs, PT, OT, ST, I mean, the liaison, the community navigator, the patient access care coordinator, whatever, like everyone has a role to deprescribe when you're touching someone over 60 or even 50. And I really feel it starts when we're younger, but that's another topic of conversation, right? But so let's dig into it, right? What's been good in my world? Today's been pretty dope. This has been quite a productive week. We finally met, the lovely Teepa Snow earlier, the founder of the Patient a Positive Approach to Care, or the Snow Approach Foundation. And, Teepa's a legend, man. We were honored to be in her presence and, of course, share our insights on what meds to deprescribe when it comes to dementia. Of course, you get those usual questions like, does Prevagen actually work? And there are newer ones out there that try to tout memory preservation. But nonetheless, man, just being able to have a casual mocktail and just kick it, with her newly started nonprofit, where they're bringing the intel of Teepa's awesomeness to the local communities of Hillsborough and, of course, Orange County here in Durham, North Carolina, here in Chapel Hill. So needless to say, it was a great topic of conversation. We are in complete alignment with not using antipsychotics and other hard drugs to basically chemically sedate people. which, I think I've been preaching for days. But it's a personal mission because of what happened to my grandmother, right? She was given ziprasidone while in a nursing facility, and it took us months and months and months to figure out what brought her from mild dementia down to severe. And fortunately, we had a Rite Aid pharmacist, shout out to that Rite Aid pharmacist, who advocated for her and got her off. But that's my story. You guys know that. But the conversation went all over the place. We went from talking about some of the current Alzheimer's medications that are on the market, Leqembi, Aduhelm. We talked a bit about, of course, the new FDA indication for an antipsychotic, which is Rexulti, which has been recently approved for agitation for those with dementia or behavioral psychological symptoms of dementia. And, we both were kind of like, we don't know. Because, I think the issue is we don't see people getting to that root cause. And just because there's an FDA indication, does that give us enough to just say, well, take it, versus identifying what the environmental triggers are, right? If there's a nutritional trigger, if there's a change in their schedule for that day, was there some type of undiscovered pain? Like, do they have a UTI? Like, we got to make sure we're ruling all that out. And I feel we may not do our due diligence if something just says, well, it's approved, boom, let's go, she's agitated, let's do it. And I mean, also, how are we training the care facility, the staff members to be, I guess, a little bit more thorough in this assessment before we write someone off as agitated? So, you clearly can tell we can go down that road for a minute, but that's what Tipa and I ended up chatting about earlier this week. And again, they gave us a lovely tour of their new compound that they're going to be remodeling right across from the courthouse in Hillsborough. Met their grandkids, met their family. They're really family oriented, really friendly. So that was kind of where one of the places this journey has taken me in just advocating for less meds. So life is good. Life is good. And I want this joy for every single person watching now, listening in, whether you're at your job or on the road, wherever you are. This is reality. And there was a time in the beginning, when you're growing your business, you're kind of just doing all the things. I don't advise that, but sometimes you're just doing all the things just to see what shakes, right? And in the beginning, all I would do would be caregiver events, conferences. I would build a network from participating in social media, caregiver support groups, answering questions about meds, asking questions, of course, about health conditions, what's appropriate. And that's what's led to, more public speaking engagements, training, working with other caregiver coaches on how to really address that med management piece that pharmacists, have as our bread and butter. But I don't think it all has to be just pharmacists. I think geriatric pharmacists especially are well equipped to kind of pivot or segue into building your own Deprescribing practice, because we're already ingrained and think like a geriatrician in a way in how we approach care, at least the good geriatricians, right? So with that mindset, I still think we can use that when you have a damn good director of nursing or an awesome med tech or pharmacy tech who's doing that review and making that initial impression. I can see a culture shift where we are contracting out Deprescribers, and the business is, one, improving their length of stay for their inhabitants. They're improving quality of life. They're saving on labor costs. I mean, they're not getting dinged for maybe a fall or two or cognitive impairment or incontinence, whatever the case is. If we can figure out some root cause issues, which is what medicine is missing, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just use this consortium of dope, Deprescribing, interdisciplinary advocates and work with facilities to give that concierge, personalized care that we are sorely missing, right? Like, everyone is tired of having to wait 6 to 8 months just to get another follow-up, just to get a check-in. And medicine is moving away from the traditional model. It is what it is. So what are you doing to position yourself or educate yourself or retrain yourself or, align yourself with people on that wavelength, right? How are you going to future-proof the changes that are coming within the aging industry? And how are you going to, establish yourself or distinguish yourself as an expert if you're not thinking about the elephant in the room, which is overprescribing, which is this culture of needing to take a med for everything. And we've been seeing it all of our lives. I mean, shoot, we grew up with it. We know that there are only 2 countries in the world that allow direct-to-consumer marketing. Yeah, us and New Zealand. I don't know why New Zealand, but we're the only 2 that allow pharma to market directly to patients. So if that is a piece of the puzzle, along with our we want it fast now, quick, ASAP mentality, you're going to have a double-edged sword of people thinking that these meds are going to be the fix-all, the panacea for every issue. And unfortunately, I see the result of that when I'm getting hired to do these medication reviews. And some of them are in transition between, retirement to ALF. Some of them are on the verge of being, committed into a facility. Some just left the hospital and they're not sure, So again, these are all talking to transition of care. So I got to shout out, Thu Nguyen, who's a huge advocate for really showing that transition of care is just critical to the growth and betterment of people. But I learned something recently, again, where the places you'll go. I had a new referral who it's pretty messed up, but the facility essentially is going to charge $52 a day based on the number of medications they have, the number of times they have to administer it. And, well, that's actually pretty much it. And so I didn't notice as a pharmacist, but you got a patient, and this patient wasn't the worst case I've seen. They were maybe on, 13 prescriptions, I'd say, chronically, recurrent diabetes, dementia. Unfortunately, this person was being taken advantage of by their spouse. So they were mismanaging their funds, and there was a lot of fraud and just abuse. And essentially, they just bankrupted this poor woman. So I ended up taking on the case to just help. But I had no clue that some facilities would just tack on a price. So in this case, which this woman was insulin dependent, they would have to pay $52 every day just to maintain your life. So 52 times 30, quick math, $1,500, pretty much a month. Additionally to their just cost of living, all right? So you cannot tell me that if I, as a deprescribing pharmacist, were to tell families, hey, we can cut that list in half, but working with that new provider they're about to see, or while they're in transition, while we're establishing care, we can create a plan. Facilities may not like it because they want people on meds, but if I can make that cost 52 come down to 14, that's a whole different, pay scale, right? If it's like $15 versus $52 a day, that's $1,500, and what, 15 times 30 to $450 a month. So there is an indirect, well, I would say direct and indirect health savings benefit, cost savings benefit. And I didn't know this. I didn't know that some facilities would even deny a person if they were on too many meds or they had certain medications or conditions that they were like, we can't manage that. Or even if it was like an antibiotics course and the course hasn't been completed, they have to wait till the course is completed before they'll even consider admitting. Stuff, again, I don't know until I get these cases and I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So that could be an entire care model if, which again, this is what I give out freely, but this is what we teach as a part of our Deprescribing Accelerator is, look, you don't have to do this like in tandem directly with the health system, guys. Like we can be kind of health adjacent or, and have a viable business model providing these types of personalized concierge services. Like it's absolutely viable. Provided nurses are already doing it, doctors are doing it. Why the hell not have pharmacists do it? Social workers can do the same thing, right? And so again, it touches on the places we will go, right? This is just one piece of the puzzle of potential strategic partnerships and having a source essentially where people can come to you, get an objective opinion, create a deep prescribing care plan, and even be paid on a retainer, on a monthly retainer, which, again, we teach in our program, to again do what the hell we want to do the right stuff, like give that extra time and care that we have done all this schooling and medical debt and life saving for. Like, this is our calling. So don't get stymied or blocked just because your job says you can't do that, or whatever the case is. Which for me, as a retail pharmacist, I couldn't do all the de-prescribing in the world. I had to fuel the machine, right? So I easily and firmly believe that you can have de-prescribing in independent community pharmacies. And not to say it doesn't, but I think you could sell that as a service. I firmly believe you could sell that as a service. I mean, who am I kidding? I have a student who's already doing that with Dr. Tamara Ruggles and the de-prescribing clinic that she has founded in North Dakota, working with her, geriatric care prescribers. And so she created a clinic adjacent to an independent where those tough cases that need a little extra fine tuning, they go to her, they pay her a flat fee, they create a plan to get them off. So it's happening. It's cool to see my student do it because I'm more proud to hear that. So it's like, she's happy, I'm happy, the patients are happy, the community's happy. There's a resource now that was never there that has started because someone took our de-prescribing accelerator and saw the need and filled the void. So that, of course, makes me happy. So yes, we got tons and tons of more places to go with this. And so that's one example of a community model of de-prescribing. And she has partnerships with the prescribers already. Ashley, that's a great question. Ashley had a question she posed. What's up, Ash? Thanks for tuning in. But she asked, would that affect the business of the independent pharmacy since they would be dispensing less meds? Probably. Now, here's the caveat, though. If you're able to figure out a bunch of low-cost meds or even medications that are costing the pharmacy more money, not to incentivize them to de-prescribe just because of that, but if it was not truly appropriate or you're not making any revenue from that, you can charge that de-prescribing as a service and just have people who stay de-prescribed a subscription fee or a membership or whatever you want, or a percentage of the cost savings that you have brought that patient. Or you could allow them to come in and maybe get, 10% off of something, in the store because you're a part of our de-prescribing, whatever. I don't know. The point is, it can, and it seems like indirectly, yeah, less meds, less dispensing fee. But when you're dealing with low cost drugs that may be causing more harm, you as a community member saving that person's life because you sign them up for that value is going to be way more than your $2 return on a high blood pressure med. And you can extrapolate that to years and months, whatever the case is. But you're right. It may not be as tough or easy, I'd say, in that setting, because we know that their DIR fees, the PBMs are killing independence. But again, it is a service. It is a high value service. It's a high value service. And so that's where I'm like, people want the service. They don't want to be on pills either. They just want to get off. So work with them, have them charge a monthly membership to be on our de-prescribing plan, and then you get them on less meds, and now they're going to tell the whole damn community because you're the first freaking pharmacy to get me off pills. And that's what we teach. And that's what we want, especially if they already have that relationship with the local prescribers. And guess what? Prescribers want that. They want that. They want their clients better on less meds and less liability. So it can happen. But that's an excellent point. Abby tuned in. She She loves what we're talking about. Thanks for tuning in, Abby. She mentioned if we can do like a case study and show you. I do case studies all day. And if you want to see it, you got to be a part of our Deprescribing accelerator. I mean, that's just what it is. We go over case examples religiously. As a part of my speaking, we do workshops for Deprescribing symposiums across the country, and we cover case examples. And there are other people that also have implemented this, like for instance, the VA, right? We had, if you check out some of our earlier episodes in the year, in March, we had Dr. Sarah Batar, who's a geriatrician, and she has rolled out this methodology called the Vione, Vione. And she does a case study live. In fact, you can go back to that episode and check it out. I think it's called like, I don't know, Introducing Dr. Sarah Batar and the Vione method, whatever. We go live and we do a whole case study. And she goes over how this older adult with tons of polypharmacy, ended up being gradually weaned off these meds. There was a cost savings benefit. There was a quality of life improvement. There was cognitive improvement. So again, the case examples are there. They really are, Abby, but it's a good point. But yes, to get all of the tea, I encourage you to join our wait list for our Deprescribing accelerator. You'll go through some of the case examples clinically that we've seen improvements on, but yeah, and Ashley added the power of using genetic testing, right? That's another awesome tool. And that's another place where this journey has taken me in getting my PGX certificate and as a community, provider. But yeah, I literally was just at another conference last week, NCAP, North Carolina Association of Pharmacists. And so I spoke on behalf of the North Carolina Precision Medicine Task Force. So there were 4 of us. Awesome presentation. I did this in collaboration with the NC Biotech, and under NC Biotech, there is this North Carolina Precision Medicine Task Force. So myself, along with Mariana Wilbur. So those of you know, you're probably very familiar with Dr. Amina Abubakar. She is the founder and CEO of the Avant Institute in Charlotte. And so they do a lot of this stuff that I'm already preaching. Let me be honest with you. They do genetic testing. They do cognitive screenings. They do all types of collaborative practices with care providers around the Charlotte area. So they're doing this, and they're showing a cost savings benefit and actually evidence to integrate more pharmacists into these kind of collaborative practice agreements. So I ain't just talking. There's real people doing this, right? And there are awesome people doing this. But all of that could be sold and charged for cash. Okay, so you gotta take it from me. We got people already living that life. I mean, I'm doing it my way. We all have different silos, right? But I'm going back to the point. We work with Mariana Wilbur, so she's one of her newest interns. She and I tackled the portion on community-based pharmacogenomics use implementation. What are some of the barriers we're seeing? What are some of the pros and cons? That ended up taking me to Beaufort, North Carolina, which is near the Outer Banks, Morehead City. My first time out there was lovely. Great weather. But yeah, I was able to share what I've experienced in using pharmacogenomics, right? We had a patient just this couple of weeks ago. What's going on, Arn? Thanks for joining. Who literally came to us wondering why their mom is declining. She has moderate dementia, and they threw on an antidepressant trying to manage her anxiety, but they did not do a pharmacogenomics test. So that's something that I was advocating for their family was, look, you need to get this done and checked out before you start any of this, because you don't know how she will respond. Needless to say, the family or as the prescriber didn't go forward with the genetic test, which I was offering. They threw her on fluoxetine or Prozac, and Prozac is metabolized by C2D6, basically our liver enzyme that breaks down the drug. Now, this woman came back a week later, comatose basically. She was not responsive. She came out with this new twitch in her mouth, some tardive dyskinesia. She just had a blanket stare. And the caregiver called me in a panic, like, yo, Delon, what is going on? How do I handle this? And I'm like, whoa, what happened? And I was like, yeah, we started that new med. I was like, no, what the hell? Why? I didn't even get a test. And the test is covered. Like, what? Anyway, Needless to say, the patient was now put in harm's way, and now the caregivers panicked. And now I'm giving them advice on how to stop the drug and taper it. You really just stop it because you don't. It's a pretty bad side effect. And so they agree to just taper, which I'm like, you could stop that drug, but whatever. There's only on half a pill of Prozac, but it was enough. And that's what I'm saying. That's the type of mistrust we have, because here we have a widely affordable test for pharmacogenomics, right? It wasn't utilized. And now we have a Black mom caregiver and an older adult who doesn't want to take anything now because that report told us that she was a poor metabolizer, meaning she ain't getting the drug that she's supposed to. And there's a more heightened risk of harm, which is what we saw. And so now we got a whole report that tells us she should not be on this, after the fact, after putting them in harm's way, after they had a chance to get this test done. And this was at Emory. Yeah, this was at Emory University Hospital, Emory Health System. And yeah, I also graduated from Emory for undergrad, but I ain't a part of the health system with Emory. But hey, you think all the brand names mean you're doing all the getting the best care? Like, hell no, that's not what it is. So it eventually now has created this huge mistrust. But I was able to explain this case vignette at that NCAP conference to other pharmacists and leaders in our profession who are interested in rolling this into the community. So I say this to say, oh, the places you will go. Again, this was a sad story. The patient has resolved from that incident and is no longer taking that medication. But now, this actually ties in well to the Teepa Snow conversation, is I'm giving her resources and tools to manage that behavior outside of using these heavy sedative medications that may be causing more harm than good. So there is a happy ending. She's now tied into more dementia support groups. She was able to use Alzheimer, helpline if she were to have another outburst. And yes, sadly enough, there was another outburst last Friday that she called about. So I say this to share this story with you all, that this woman I helped didn't pay me a dime. Didn't pay me a dime. And I didn't want her to. I didn't want her to because I'm trying to help. And yeah, I got a business to run, sure, but you're not going to always get paid for the value you offer. And that was something I had to shift in my mindset in growing this, was like, it's not going to always be the bank account, bro. It's going to be name recognition. It could be the story. It could be the lesson you're learning. It could be that lives touched. It could be that person saved. It could be the peace of mind you bring to people. The peace of mind that you can bring to people to just give them your time. That is gold. Like that's that fire. Like when you literally just sit there in your dopeness and just share the blessings that you've been given and what you've trained all your life for. And I'm guilty. I forget that. And I'm here for them, but I forget it because I'm like, oh, I got to do this. We got to make this quota. We got to get 2 more paid, because it's easy to get into that when it's your own baby, it's your business, but you can't let that be, your end all be all. And yeah, Arn, appreciate the love, man. He says, continue to be altruistic in nature. Everything else will come. Facts. It's just it's so true, man. It's so true. And, when you're in the thick of it, you're like, I gotta chase it all. It's like, no, man. And my dad, I got to give him some shout outs as Father Day is around the corner. But that is how my dad has ran his accounting business. And, at first we're both kind of the easygoing altruistic types, but he's only seen it come forward, and he's been preaching and preaching and preaching that. And I've been like, nah, Dad, screw that. I got to get rich first. And I wasn't listening. Like I was doing it for truly the wrong reason. Like it was a good reason at heart, but it wasn't like I wasn't living it yet. And that's where I'm at now in this space. Is it's all coming back. And frankly, I have more joy knowing that someone can just pick up a phone and call me and say, hey, doc, I got a problem, and I can help solve it. Even if I don't know the answer, I know someone else who can solve it or something. And that, again, had me going down this pipeline of, okay, what are some good community resources? Let me tap into, Ellen Belk, and let me tap into Dr. Brittany Lamb. Let me tap into Dr. Farron Epps. Let me talk into Mia Chester. Let me talk into other dementia experts just to confirm I am saying the right stuff and that you have a network of people that can have your back when I may not be there. So now that you're empowered, you know how to do better next time. That's it. And that, my friends, you're not going to get from this health system. Not going the traditional route. You're just not going to get that. You're going to be in and out, and I'll see you in 6 months. And it doesn't even work as well as it should. We have some of the brightest minds, best clinicians ever in this very same country, a part of a shitty system, And we can do better, and we are doing better in some ways. And we are able to fit that need by creating different care models, different approaches, different partnerships. And that segues nicely into the world of geriatric care managers, right? People who do advanced placements or advanced care planning. That is another venue of opportunity that I know our pharmacists aren't even thinking about. We're not even thinking about it because it's either pharmacy, healthcare, and the hospital system, and research. Nothing else. Nothing else exists, right? Like, there's no other, dude, there's a whole world of people who are going to pay you 4 figures for your time. And I'm just tired of us thinking, yo, there are no other options. So there are tons of options. And especially working with geriatric care managers has been a huge blessing. Just another powerful piece. Working with nonprofit organizations, dementia partnership, Dementia Cares, Dementia Inclusive, Dementia Alliance, Alzheimer's Association. These people know my name because I'm out here doing the work. I'm working with them. I'm teaching people how to put this into practice. And it's not always for payments. It's literally for the good of the damn people. Like, people need this. And so that's why I'm like, we're just beginning. Like, Delon is just starting. We just started, buddy. We got a whole, we still got 6 more months left in the year. We still got 6 more months left in the year of things to tackle. And a couple will be in Florida. So we're going to be doing our first TED Talk. If you haven't heard it, it'll be in Ocala. I think it's like an hour outside of. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate you tuning in. Hour outside of like Orlando or something. But I'll be doing my first TED Talk, talking about the same stuff. Deprescribing, how we all can leverage it, how we all can use it to our betterment. And honestly, when I go to these conferences and speak, I swear to you, man, it's the caregiver who's sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they're tired of medalists, and they're like, I don't want my mom and all this stuff. And they're the ones who end up leading the deprescribing conversation more often than not. So why not empower more community members to do that? And if you hear no, go to a different doctor. Like, damn, just go to a different provider. And I don't think all meds are bad. I will never say that. They save lives. We just got to stop this need for everyone to be on it. But another example of places we will go. So yeah, we'll be in Ocala the 2nd week of November for our very, very first TED Talk. So if you could tune in, show some love. Would love for y'all to check it out. Hey, Doreen, thank you for tuning in as well. Appreciate the love. Holly, great seeing you. Thanks for tuning in. So we'll also be in Florida for another conference. Drum roll. Yeah. Yes, ASCP, the American Society of Consultant Pharmacists. We had our proposal accepted for leveraging and monetizing Deprescribing. So we'll be having our very first national conference with ASCP, where we'll be leading a focus group on how other geriatric pharmacists can start implementing and building their own concierge practice deprescribing, and exploring some of those dope partnerships that you may not have thought would be a viable business plan. So I'm excited for that. This is the first one ever. We did it kind of like a mini 15-minute power talk at their last national conference, but this one will be in Kissimmee in Florida, and we'll be there October 26th to the 29th. This fall. So that's another big one to look out for. So this will be the national scale again of where this deprescribing mission is taking us. So yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for the congrats and love. Appreciate you, Shannon. But I'm super excited for real. Like again, this is a movement, like Lisa mentioned. She commented that this is a national movement. I'm like, it is a national movement, and I'm not stopping until we have Geriatrics, Dr. DeLon Stein seal stamp of approval for deprescribing, like continuous implementation. Like that's going to be my gold standard of a deprescribing pharmacist has invested a culture shift towards less meds sustainably. And it can be done. I guarantee you, like it can be done. It's already being done. We're just, I think we're just a little bit slow to the uptick. However, the people want what the people want, and they don't want to be on a bunch of pills. And if they do, that's your prerogative. Cool. But that's one other facet of where this journey has taken me. I had the honor, and this was random. So I had the honor of participating in a pitch competition. Man, this was crazy. This was 2 weekends ago. It was actually right before the NCAP conference, but Durham Techstars had a weekend where, Abby asked a good question before I get into that. She says, can we tie that in with pharmacogenetics to find the right med to be on? Absolutely. That's actually what we teach in module 3 of our deprescribing accelerator, is how to roll out pharmacogenomics as a tool for deprescribing, and also how to just get that kickstarted in your practice. But great question. But going into what I was saying, this was random. So we were a part of Techstars weekend. It was actually an international startup weekend where basically random strangers meet in the night, and they they come together for this intense 52-hour weekend where they are basically pitching a business to venture capitalists and other serial entrepreneurs, from the Bay Area, Silicon Valley types. And I did it on some random whim to just network and dip, right? I wasn't even trying to be there. But when I tell you, I pitched my idea, and this is where I see geriatrics going as we scale in the future. And yeah, I want to have like a holistic nursing home. If y'all know some people who have some farmland that I can invest in, I want to have a holistic nursing home attached to a farm that also has a daycare. So if you heard this idea anywhere else, your boy said it first. That's my stuff. I already got stuff on the works with that. So if you want to steal it, I need my 10% equity. But anyway, that's my idea that I pitched. And believe it or not, out of the 16 people that pitched their ideas, my idea actually won the most votes. So yay, I won the pitch competition in a way. So that was a surprise. But it showed validity to the idea, and it was affirming. Now, at this point in the competition, I won that pitch, but that wasn't the point of the weekend. Now, everyone has to form 3 teams to choose which business idea you want to work with. And now you as a team have to actually build a proposal. Like now you got to lay out the groundwork, get your market research all in one weekend. So it was like a shock. I was not prepared to be posting out surveys to caregivers to assess if there's a need or, tapping into people's skills. Like, dude, it was intense as hell. It was like the first day was from 6 to 10 on a Friday, which is already a stretch. And then it was 8 to 8 on both Saturday and Sunday. I was like, damn, this is a lot. And I was not planning on spending my weekend pitching, but nonetheless, we did. So about 6 to 8 of us formed a group. One group was on developing a dating app for divorced men. The other was pitching, which I think is a great idea, was pitching like a fitness club and I guess a gym partnership or membership for women menstruating. So it was called Flow 28, creative name. But essentially it's showing how physical activity can reduce, issues when it comes to, their cycle, menstruation, etc., and show that there is a reduced harm when you work out and be active during your period. So I thought it was a dope idea. And we ended up pitching 2 ideas together to form one group. So my idea was a holistic nursing home with Deprescribing advocates in it. The other was a caregiver angle to creating an app to help people navigate care needs, whether it's like vetted professionals to help with the house or transportation or food insecurity, whatever. But basically it was caregiver assistance using the angle of an employee benefit. So we ended up using her idea. We merged together as a team. And so we all competed. And during this intense weekend, right, it was like 6 people. We had an IT person who does like cybersecurity. We had a marketer on our team. We had a geriatric care manager. We had myself. We had a holistic chiropractor, functional wellness chiropractor on our team. I was a Deprescribing pharmacist. And then we also had just a general marketing and sales guy. All dope people. And needless to say, even with our competition and team dynamics, on Sunday when we pitched, we actually still ended up winning the entire competition. I have to give a shout out to Knox Street, and of course found it from Duke Health, who sponsored the event and put it on. But this was a hell of a learning experience, man. Like, we had to develop an app, we had to do market research, we had to get the data, we had to make a pitch deck, we had to basically play on everyone's strengths and come up with a product viable to pitch. And needless to say, not everyone's going to just get along hunky-dory just because you met. So there were definitely some team buttings of heads. My idea, I wanted to pitch more than the other. So I just kind of acquiesced and we went another route, which is cool. So the point is, you really learn about yourself when you're in a weird situation, just doing things on the fly and letting people's natural skill sets just come to the forefront. But that was 2 weekends ago. And what I literally thought would be, let me just pitch my stuff and dip, turned into a whole, man, now I got an IT person I can help out with. Now I got, a marketer who actually needed some of my help, who's dealing with caregiving and didn't even realize that she was a caregiver until she was a part of our group and we started talking about the problem. And so she didn't know that she was a caregiver. And guess what? I was able to help her. I was able to give her resources. I was able to tell her who to call. I was able to tell her what questions to ask when it came to certain things. And so what was just a random competition turned into 1, a potential client, 2, someone who could help me in my business, 3, a life touched. You see, that's the magic right there. A life was touched. Her mom was helped. All from us working on a project together. So like, I don't know what God has left in store for me. Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, man, but I can leave knowing, hey, I helped someone way more than I ever thought I would just from being in the room. So my friends, that is why DeLon is everywhere, anywhere, at any time, all at once. It's not to just look good. It's literally because there's a freaking need. There's a need. Even if I don't know there's a need of me yet, there's a need. And it's such a novel concept that you just can't find good quality people to do this type of work, And that's why I'm at the conferences. That's why I'm in this country. That's why I travel. Sure, that's my life, but I'm there because the mission is greater than me. It's greater than geriatrics, greater than a Deprescribing accelerator. It's like, We all live it, breathe it, and see it. So why not just do it? That's my perspective. And it's fun. It's freaking fun. Y'all know me from undergrad. Your boy wasn't this happy-go-lucky before, but I'm damn happy now. So that is just a month of that is just a month of June. That is just a month of June. I gotta reflect because that was just a month of June. I mean, I remember having a conversation with the cameraman at that Techstars competition who asked for my card because he was going through the same problem with his dad who's in a facility on a ton of meds, has dementia, and no one's listening to him. No one's listening to the son. No one's listening to the dad. And he's like, man, can I work with you? Can we talk about this? Yeah, this is what I live for. It's the cameraman. I didn't have to use a health system to help the cameraman. You see what I'm saying? That's why there's power in just being present. There's power being present, and there's a power in using your voice for good, for others. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it can be taxing. People could drain you. I've learned that the hard way. But ultimately, people are doing the best they can with what they got, and they're just trying to live their lives, feed their kids, go home, and just chill. That's most people in this world. And people have way less than we do, and they're happier than us most of the time. My travels and what I see, they have way less, much happier. So that is just June. Another big thing I'm most excited about, if you haven't heard already, is is getting funded for a mini collaboration grant with the US Deprescribing Network. I think I mentioned this in our last live, but we received a mini collaboration grant in partnership with Duke Healthcare and AME Zion churches here in the Durham community. And so Geriatrics is partnering with them to pilot the first ever African-American focused pharmacogenomics deprescribing study ever. It's my dad. So that makes me hype. That is undoubtedly the most excited project I am on. I'm like, wow, we've got the NIA and the US Deprescribing Network talking to your boy. Yeah, we're going to do some work in these parishes, in these communities, and get people excited about having targeted conversations on identifying high risk or potentially inappropriate medications. And we're going to track the data and see what we find. And so my hopes is for this to lead to a larger, NIH funded study down the road that, of course, shows that with the right messenger, the right language, the right empathy, some of the right systems that we teach in our Deprescribing Accelerator program, we can scale this to communities where we can have deprescribing churches. Can you imagine? I never said that out loud, but can you imagine going to a church where you have a healthcare team and there's a deprescribing advocate at your AME Zion clinic, and they can literally give you a plan to get you off meds in 5 to 6 months and do it with your doctors? Can you imagine that? Is that too wishful? I don't think so. But that's where I see this type of clinical data going. I see that being extrapolated to Latina churches and other faith-based communities to model that after. Because guys, we're not going to find everything in a randomized clinical trial. sometimes you just gotta just do the work and see what sticks. Not everything's gonna be perfect when it comes to practicing medicine, and especially behavioral interventions and educational interventions. Like, it's gonna take some bootstrapping a bit. So I'm excited for that. Shout out to Dr. Julius Wilder. That's my boy. He and I served on the COVID task force together, the African American COVID task force here in Durham. Started about 3 years ago at the inception of COVID, and I joined that task force similar to the way I do geriatrics, and it was just to fill a need. And when I started hearing from my own aunt and uncle and dad, like, I ain't taking no COVID shot, I don't want to worry about that, and it was made too fast. I was like, okay, all right, okay, now I gotta tell everybody. I was so annoyed getting these messages of propaganda on WhatsApp from Caribbean countries and all this stuff and just lies, that I was like, all right, I'm just going to use my voice and my expertise as a pharmacist to just do some service. Just go to these local communities, these churches, these town halls, and just educate people. Like, all right, here's what it is. Here's what a vaccine is. Here's what went into mRNA vaccines. Here's the data. Here's the. And that was done out of a need, right? I wasn't getting paid for that. I wasn't thinking this would lead to something, but that was the magic of doing out of service. And that's how I met Dr. Julius Wilder. That's how I was able to build that partnership. That's how I was able to now get funded for this US Deprescribing Network, mini collab grant, which is going to lead to another pilot study, and that's going to lead to another project in 3 years, 3 to 5 years. So I don't know what God is planning, but that was one of the beauty of this. It was like, he and I just saw the need, know that we have the reach and the know-how to put this into people's hands. So why not do it? And so we spitballed over some drinks, and what became a friendly drink turned into a partnership. And again, it's why I'm excited for that. So I can't wait for us to get that off the ground. We've already planned out some community meetings we're going to have in the future about that. Yeah. So I actually didn't anticipate meeting one of the editors for the updated beers list criteria that came out last month. So for those who don't know, the beers, or the AGS beers criteria, you got to give the full 3 words because they changed it now. So it's the AGS, American Geriatric Society beers criteria. Yeah, I loosely say the beers list as it was named after Mark Beers, a geriatrician who passed, who started this basically consortium or compendium of medications most associated with harm for our older adults. But anyway, at American Geriatric Society at their conference, I met Dr. Todd Semla. He's another geriatric pharmacist. He was one of the lead editors for this updated version, and I had the pleasure of meeting him in California, in Long Beach, when I was there in May. So being able to shake his hand and then literally say, hey, man, what you guys do is what I preach. I literally teach all of our alums to use that tool religiously in their care to assess any potential harms. And hey, it works. It's one of the bread and butter to my Deprescribing conversations. So we've got a ways to go to just make these, these tools readily accessible. There is an app. There's a pocket guide. So if you want to check that out, go to American Geriatric Society. I don't get any sponsorship. I don't know. I think it's like $8 or $9 to download an app. You can also just download the document and do Control F and find all the drugs, whatever floats your boat. But I didn't think I would meet him. I didn't even know who he was until after I met him. I had to look him up after I shook his hand. And then I saw that he did like a podcast with Dr. Michael Steinem, who is the one of the co-leads for the USD Prescribing Network. And he's a geriatrician based out of UC San Francisco. So I don't expect to just meet these dope people, but it's happening. It's happening, and I'm appreciative of the moment. So I'm just grateful that that's where this is going. And truthfully, there's more to come. So deprescribing initially for me was a service to really just help those frustrated caregivers just have a little bit of objective opinion around, that's an oxymoron, but objective perspective on what the meds might be doing. And to show, hey, here's why you have some cognitive impairment. It's like a little puzzle. You work backwards on, get the end result, and we're basically matching up what the meds might be doing to increase that risk of harm. And so what once started as a 36 medicated patient list, deprescribed to 8, which was our first case in August 2020, our first paid case, I would say. And we worked with her doctor to get her off that many meds in about 2 months. Man, that was a big win. And so what started from just that kind of one-on-one concierge service has now grown to the one-to-many. And now it's like, all right, I could still help families who want to hire me. I could also help businesses do the same thing. I could also train other entrepreneurial pharmacists and nurses and social workers and specialists to do the same thing. And then do it in your practice so you're not having to go study and take 5 years of professional school and no, let's just give you the quick tea now. All right, here's the tool, here's the template, here's the model. Grow. And do it in just 12 weeks. Just 12 weeks instead of a whole 2 years or whatever of schooling you need to take. You don't need advanced credentialing to advocate for deprescribing, right? And that to me is what hits home for why we're doing what we do. So I hope y'all found today insightful. There is a lot more to come. And yeah, we've already got things planned for the fall, exploring new partnerships. Of course, we've tapped into this Teep the Snow approach foundation. So we're hoping to do another session come fall around that. We are partnering with national organizations invested in seeing older adults on less meds. So that's going to be cool. I'll be sharing more about that. So yeah, I want y'all to have the exact same joy I have when I show up and wake up every day. All right. It's possible. It's doable. Don't listen to that little nagging voice of lies that you can't do this, you can't do that. Bro, you can do whatever you want. All right. So keep at it. Show some love. Yes, Holly, thanks for sharing our link. Yes, check out geriatrics.org if you want to learn more. If you want to apply for our deprescribing accelerator, go to that site or check out our profile page on LinkedIn. We have it in all of our links on IG, LinkedIn, and Facebook. But check out our deprescribing accelerator. See if it's a good fit for you. We are currently screening people. We have a wait list already, but we're screening people for our fall cohort. So we only cap it at 5, and that's it. All right. So much love. I'll see y'all next week at Thursday at 12 p.m. Take care.